What is up, guys? It is your LOL support here. Be sure to give this video a huge thumbs up. Like us on Facebook and Twitter to ask us questions and to receive news on the channel. Links for both will be in the description below. And last, be sure to tick that subscribe button to join our team, but more importantly, to join our family. Alright guys, see ya.
But now that you're gone, I can fly.
What is up, guys? It is your LOL support here, and today we're going to be bringing you another segment in the series, Ask Biggims. You guys had a lot of great submissions this week, and I really enjoyed answering all of them, and thank you for posting a lot of good ones last week as well. But without further ado, let's get into some of the questions. This week it's going to be a little bit shorter as far as how many questions I answer, just because the type of questions that were asked are very bulky and very dense with information. So I'm going to be answering only a few questions this week, but feel free to post more questions down below, and I'll be getting to them next week. Alright, so let's get started with some of the questions here, okay? So the first question comes from Renegade Pidge, something like that. What is a good strategy against a really fed tanky character? For instance, a 300 stack Nasus. We're not supposed to focus tanks in team fights because they will take forever to kill. But some tanks like Nasus, Shyvana, or even Warwick with Feral Flare do so much damage that if we focus them, they never die. And if we don't focus them, they just run rampant and killing everybody. And my response to you is a lot of what happens when you deal with tanky characters like that is you often have to be stronger than the other team rotation-wise. So you have to be aware of the map, and this comes through vision control, which obviously is a big part of the game. If you're not buying a lot of wards, you should step that up, and not only trinkets, but wards. One thing I like to do is by the 12th minute, at least, I like to have a sweeper ward and start purchasing just regular wards. So that, because a lot of people nowadays, they rely on the trinket and they never really switch out to a sweeper ward. And vision control is not only warding for your team, but sweeping their wards as well. So you can start to create blind spots for them. Because if both teams have map of the whole vision, or have vision of the whole map, then that's not really denying vision. That's just kind of evening the playing field. But if you're able to sweep out the wards, then it becomes a vision game. Okay, so going into some of that, if say you're top lane and you have a really fed Nasus, and you see that the enemy jungler is in mid lane, holding the lane because mid lane just killed the enemy mid laner, right? So the jungle's in the mid lane, you guys are top lane, right? And if it's a Nasus, coordinate a gank with your jungler so that the enemy jungler can't respond to it. So if you know where the enemy jungler is, force a fight onto the very fed or tanky or whatever you want to call him. Force a fight onto him with the enemy jungler. Because if you can't take him one-on-one, take him with multiple people. Swarm that guy outside of team fights. And that way you can slow down his growth, and it allows you to take objectives. Now, say if that's not an option. Say if you're getting camped top, right? And luckily you have enough wards. So you're getting denied CS, but you're not able to... they're not getting kills, but you're also getting denied CS. So what a good thing to do is coordinate with your jungle. Tell them, hey, look, Sejuani just went top. She's probably going to clear a couple of jungle camps. Force a dragon. You know, if your jungler knows where the enemy jungle is, they can pressure other spots on the map. So if the enemy jungler is top lane, your jungler should force a fight in bot as well as the mid laner if they want to rotate. But that's a little bit complex for a solo queue. But you tell your jungler, hey, look, Sejuani's camping top lane. Make something happen bot and get me a dragon because I'm getting kind of low on CS. But make sure you say it nicely, because if it sounds like you're forceful, a lot of junglers will be like, no, screw you. I know how to jungle. But get global gold out there, because if their enemy jungle is camping you, then make that happen elsewhere. As far as team fights go, you're right. In team fights, they will go on a rampage basically, and it's up to your team to build accordingly. If they are a very big problem that you can't handle in a team fight, then you need to out-rotate them. So wherever the wherever the Fed top laner is or whoever the Fed jungle is, fight around them being out of position. So if you guys are dancing and a Fed Warwick with a Feral Flare needs to get his Feral Flare stacks up, so he needs to go farm the jungle. So if you see him go off into the jungle in like top side, pressure mid or bot side. So it basically takes him out of the equation. No matter how fed a person is, if they're always down 1 or 2 people because you guys keep catching them out, a 3v5, it doesn't matter how fed you are, you're not going to win that. So work around them rotating poorly. So you need to have good rotations to mid, to bot, and make sure that you secure objectives, and that will give you the gold that you missed in laning phase, and it'll get your whole team going compared to the enemy team that just has 1 or 2 fed people and then the others are just kind of normal. So that's what I would recommend to you as far as dealing with a very fed person. So I hope that was able to answer your question there. And the next question, this is like a 3-part or so question, comes from William Chen. And his question is, how do you know who on your team initiates in a team fight? How do you know which team fight you should initiate on because you know you'll come out on top? And who should you focus down in a team fight? Just who should you focus down in a team fight? Okay, so let's answer all 3 of these questions. The first question, how do you know who initiates on your team fight? Typically, the jungle, top lane, or mid lane has, I mean, pretty much every position other than ADC has some catch-out potential depending on your champion. If you have a displacement, those people tend to initiate before stuns and roots. So if I have a Gragas on my team, or I'm sorry, the other way around. Stuns usually initiate over displacements. And like I said, it could vary, but typically if I play Gragas top, right? And there's a Morgana on our team, a Lux on our team, or a Jarvan on our team. Any one of those 3. They have a stun. So if they're able to land a stun, I will go into position to displace that stun towards our team. So depending on what champion you are, your hard initiator might depend on a stun by a support or a mid laner. So you have to kind of feel out your team comp. So if you have a stun, I would say if you land the stun, you've done your job and it's now up to the displacement people or the beefier people to go in and fight that. What tends to happen though is a tanky person goes in with no solid initiate other than burning his escapes and he can't get out, which is why we lose team fights. And that brings me to my next topic is, well, I'll answer the third one and then the second one, but it's a good segment. Who should we focus down in the team fight? Okay. So here's how I like to think about it, okay? Whenever I'm in a game and I think about a team fight, I always think about 2 circles, the enemy team and our team. So if 2 circles are like that, right? Or like that. Okay. So my index finger is the initiator. Yeah, we're just going to go for it. So if this is the circle, my index finger are the initiators, right? So if the initiator goes in and breaks that circle up, right? And their initiator does the same. It's a matter of who can close off that circle again. So basically you have two Cs, 1 person here and 1 person here from the enemy team. If this person comes back and closes up that circle, you have a 5-on-1 focus. And that should be the focus of your fire. So if both initiators break the circle, if this initiator can close in and focus, then that's considered a focused target and it's typically they die. So that's one way to do an organized team fight. If it's something like you get caught out in the jungle and it's just chaos, everyone's going everywhere, no one knows what they're doing, then typically you want to fight around your AD carry. Now, I don't say this as in stand right next to your AD carry and make sure that they don't die. I say this in that you should be in front of your AD carry, attracting most of the damage. And you don't have to die as a tank, by the way, guys. You don't have to die as a support. You don't have to die as a tank. Just get in, soak up what you can, and get out. Because if you're dead, you're not useful. You know what I mean? So, in a team fight where it's disorganized, you want to stay around the ADC, meaning if somebody's going to go for the ADC, you have some sort of CC or damage to focus them. But if no one's going near your ADC, your job is to just deal as much damage and soak up as much damage for your ADC, and they'll clean up the rest. If your ADC is a good ADC, they'll be able to clean up after that. And the last question, how do you know which team fights to initiate and know that you'll come out on top? Typically, if my team is generally a higher level than their team, I can kind of take a quick average. If we have like 16s and 17s and they have 15s and 16s, that's usually a good fight to initiate on. If I know some sort of hard CC on their team is down, or some sort of blocking of CC, so if I see Morgana use her black shield, I'll wait for that to go down and then initiate. Seeing people out of position, like a jungler going top or an ADC farming the enemy jungle, that's usually a good cue for me to initiate. I usually wait for inequalities in my team's position and their team's position, as far as gold, level, amount of players, abilities up, etc. And once I see that in our favor, I go. So I'll initiate 9 times out of 10 if I see someone out of position, or if I see that a critical ability in a team fight is down. So that's typically when I use my initiates, and that's when I pick the team fights. And one last question, this is kind of a general question that I've been getting asked, is where can we basically talk to you guys? And I've brought this up in a couple other videos, but the channel is still live. If you guys go to www.raidcall.com and download Raid Call, you can join our lobby at 796-3505. Again, we are always in there. We're always talking. We're always hanging out. So you can feel free to come in, ask us a question, play with us, whatever. You know, it's a fun place where we all hang out as a community and as a family. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this week's video. Please leave some comments down below so I can answer next week's questions. And thank you for this week's submitters. And without anything else to say on this topic, this has been your LOL support, and I am out of here.